Okay, this one is a little masterclass level. Okay, so I'll probably talk about this several times, but I want to talk about being non-reactive. This is something that I worked on, honestly, my whole entire life, and I never thought that I'd be able to master this. I really didn't. And being reactive is, it's steeped in the feeling that it's personal, that what people are doing to you is personal to you. And, one thing I love about Don Miguel Ruiz's book, The Four Agreements, one of my favorite of the four, very simplistic book, and I recommend it for everybody just to hold on to, is the notion that it's not personal. And, that seems very odd. Like, what does that mean? But you have to realize that every person's interaction with you is based on their past experiences, like things that have happened to them, how they grew up, what culture they grew up in, what wounds they have, how their parents treated them, how their teacher treated them, whatever. And all this stuff inside of them is how that they interact with you. That's the connection. So it's like it's massively a projection of their own personal experiences. So about being non-reactive. Okay, one of the biggest thing I think all people deal with, and in particular young people deal with, is their emotions and being reactive. So this is how it goes. Someone says something or does something, and you try very hard to not react, because everybody doesn't want to be reactive and be called emotional or sensitive or whatever. And so you try to stifle it, you try to control it, right? But you're in it already. You're thinking like you're in this game, this whole game that they've brought you into. And now it's it's personal, and you're having these feelings, and you're trying to repress these feelings so you don't lose control, right? And then eventually you do. You lose control, you strike out to the other person, you make it personal about them, you yell, you call them names. It could become extremely violent, honestly, verbally violent, and oftentimes, physically violent as well. So this is how it works, okay? So here's the game. The game is this. That first off, you have boundaries, and when somebody is starting to be abusive to you, you stop it right away. You're like, no, and you remove yourself from the situation. Not gonna do it, gonna leave. Open to talk about it when we can be respectful to each other. Okay, that's number one. Number two is being aware of people that don't have control over being abusive. And the thing with that is you have to not be around these people, okay? At all costs, you have to eliminate these people in your life. Okay, yay, it's so easily said, but not easy to do. Well, it is kind of easy to do. You can eliminate, family members and friends and work acquaintances. You can leave jobs. There are things that you can do. And honestly, it is pretty much a life and death situation in a weird way. Maybe not literally life and death, but it's metaphorically life and death. So you really have to choose yourself over this, relationship that you have with these people. So that's number two. That's kind of heavy. So about you not being reactive. So if someone is saying something to you, catches you off guard, they've never really been abusive to you before, and it feels very personal. This happens to me all the time. You have to have immediate awareness of, here it is again, this little game's happening, and you have to breathe and move back into a state of just observing what's happening, right? So you move back into a state of observing. And if the person's being fairly respectable, to you, then you just observe, thinking like, this is something that's not about me. This is really actually about them. And you don't have to get into the game. You don't have to get into the dance. You can just hold space and be in a space of an observer, observing this whole thing that's happening. And don't react. Remove yourself from the situation. You go to another place to like move that energy through you, process it through you. Like I do a lot of breath work exercises like that are literally like breathing in, visualizing energy flowing into the flow, because everything's energy, and energy is always moving unless it's contained. And if it's contained, it's stored within your body, then it gets into an emotional state, and then that creates an action. And then if that doesn't move that energy, then it can also get into the physical body, where you'll see people that have, honestly, their bodies are, physiologically damaged by a lot of these negative thoughts. This is a huge amount of reasons for disease. It's from these types of toxic energies, including other types of toxic energies, which could be in food or other substances. But back to it, don't need to participate in it. Remove yourself, do the energy work. If this is somebody of value to you, that seems like a empathetic person that you can eventually set boundaries with and dialogue with, and they'll respect your boundaries, then do that. And if not, again, banish to the third circle acquaintanceship, or fourth circle, which means like no contact. This is how you can work on non-reactivity. Also using the active non-reactive listening process that I talked about earlier, that helps too, allowing someone to speak and being non-reactive to that, to what they're saying. I call it holding space. A lot of other people call it holding space as well. As long as it's not abusive, I recommend it. And remembering, you can ask yourself later, like, is this something that really is something that I need to work on? Let's say you're saying like you're late every day, an hour, and I know that I am, then I can fix that. And it's true, and it feels good, and I'm willing to do that. If it's something that someone else is saying, like you're lazy, like you never, blah, 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 you're lazy. Well, I know for a fact I'm not lazy, and that's their projection and their perception, and that's not for me to work on. So that's what I'm talking about becoming non-reactive. Don't take it personal. Don't take it personally. And if there's something that is for you to work on, it will feel good, and you'll know that you can fix it. And if you choose to, that you can do that. So that's the process for non-reactivity. And I can talk more about the breath work in a little bit. Namaste.